Baba knows the way. For Joseph Baba Ifa, Baba knows the way. We follow the signs. He walks with the Orisha through sacred lines. He speaks with the ancients. He honors the drum. He carries the wisdom where we all come from.
Where are you from, miss?
From Hialeah, Florida.
Oh, man. What a place, right? Some people would say it's the city of progress, right?
Very much.
For anyone that hasn't experienced the country that is Hialeah, what can you tell them about it?
It's a place that we're misunderstood. I mean, it's a city like no other. Everything you want is there, you know, any type of mom and pop shops there. Food-wise, amazing. Spiritually as well, there's everything you want is there.
Yeah.
Botanicas, you know, elders, all kinds of stuff.
Now, mind you, I've always kind of suspected or surmised that Hialeah is really the spiritual epicenter of Ifa in this country. I've always felt that. And mind you, our ancestors, being Cuban, they arrived in New York even before then, in places like Tampa and whatnot. But I think there was just such a special thing that happened there, where it was really alive. Like, I'd tell people, and I'm sure you experienced this, you know, you'd see somebody feeding 𝘃𝗶𝗱𝗁 on the corner.
Oh, yeah.
There's not one railroad track you go by that you don't see a coconut or a gallo. The tambores every weekend, 𝘃𝗂𝗃𝗍𝗂, people mounted running through the street. Like, it was just very, very normal. What are your first recollections of Ifa?
As a child, my family's always been in the religion. I think I'm the fourth generation of it. So when I was 1, my parents took me to my padrino to get my mano de orula.
Nice.
That's when I found out I was a 𝗃𝗶𝗱𝗁𝗍 Yemaya. Got
nice.
my 𝗃𝗶𝗍𝗂𝗍, you know, got my stuff going. But it's been since I was little that I've been around all this.
Now, being initiated young sometimes can be a little convoluted, right? Because you're born into it, you might not know anything differently, but then again, you're also an adolescent, right? You're somebody that's still trying to experience life. You know, one thing is la casa, and then, you know, there's high school, there's people from other walks of life. At what point did you start feeling called to the religion, actually? Like, you know, like, ma, I want to work 𝗿𝗶𝗸𝗏, I want to help with this, or at what age did that
I've always
start?
loved it. I mean, I received certain, you know, deities when I was young as a child, you know, for health purposes and stuff. But when I really started enjoying it was about 7 years ago, because I had lost my way a little bit. I never lost faith in the you know, the Orishas or anything like that, but I did lose my way.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like a lot of people that I tell, when you go downhill where something bad happens, then the spirituality awakens again.
Yeah.
When we're in our hardest part of our lives. And I started doing Reiki.
Nice.
And Reiki brought me back into my spiritual path. And from there on out, I went straight back into the religion, learning again and practicing, taking care of my Orishas, and just getting back into my actual eguns, which I had also left on the side for a while, which, you know, things happen, unfortunately.
Well, Miami's a place that it's easy to go left. You know, you got so many things going on, and it's such a metropolis, and then you have something that is so pure and so sacred like Ifa, and then you have a city that is Miami where a lot of great and not great things happen. Just being there, you know, I tell people all the time, like, I'll do a consult and it'll come out that a person picked up a random energy on like a corner or what have you, but in a place like that, it's so easy, you know, and that's why you see like all this spiritual, you know, convolution and just energy. I've always said that you could blindfold me and drive me into Dade County and I'll know exactly when we cross over the stadium. Like when we cross over 199, I already know we're home, you know?
Yeah.
So Reiki, how did that find its way into you?
It was a heartbreak, a really bad heartbreak. And I lost myself to the point that I lived in an area where there was a Reiki shop, and I went to the Reiki shop. They spoke to me about it. I started going Fridays, and I saw the difference. The lady that took me on as my Reiki master, she actually was helping me find myself again. I had bad depression. You know, I didn't love myself like I should. And then I met these people where they taught me, you know, self-love and take care of your spirituality and bloom. And that's how I literally got back into my path. And it's sad because what happened was that not only was that issue, but the reason I lost myself was because of elders, because of what they've done. Even family members have done stuff to us. And I was like, I cannot deal with this. So I just took it and, you know, got away for a while.
Yeah. No, definitely if you're not careful, it's like a spirituality like any other, you know. Never blame the spirituality, but the people sometimes they don't know how to handle all this influence. And Ifa is definitely one. When you look at certain demographics and, you know, cultural margins that are involved, you know, it goes left very quickly unless there's a strong culture and leadership in place in each spiritual house. And the Reiki thing I've always been a fan of. I'm not as versed as most, but I do know that there's a lot in common between some concepts in Reiki and ultimately within Ifa, where I would go as far to say that the ebo that's done on the tablero is nothing more than a readjustment, you know, with, you know, the circular motion, the touching of the points, the cleansing of, you know, whichever chakra. I believe this is the eye one, right?
Yes.
You know, and you kind of see similar concepts like that across most esoteric faiths. So when you go back to something that, you know, Reiki, I would imagine some thousands of years old, you know what I'm saying, going back to Hinduism and whatnot. And then you look at Ifa being contemporary, a lot of transitional concepts where we're basically using the same information applied a little bit differently to get those results. So you being somebody that comes from this background and getting realigned and going through those processes and it bringing you back into Ifa is just a testament to how powerful and how pure, you know, a process like that is. And so how long ago did you get crowned specifically?
It's going to be 2 years on the 6th of April.
Oh, gosh. So it was a long journey then, because you talk about receiving Mano Orula at 1, and then ultimately at the chapter of life we're at now and finally going through. So what were those steps like after the Reiki process and that enlightenment coming back in?
So once I started doing that, I actually started going back into the spiritual form, going to
Like
people with the
Espiritismo, Mesa
mediumship.
Blanca. Okay, cool.
And then from there, I met my godfather, the new one for Ifa, because like I said, situations happened when I was a child.
Yeah, it's a long time too. People go different ways.
My son needed his Mano de Orula. My husband needed it, you know.
Beautiful.
So my mom, like I told you, she's got 30 plus years of Santo, and she didn't have her Mano of Orula.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
you
different
could see
times.
that even when you still have Santo Hecho, you could still go ahead and do this.
Of course.
So my grandmother as well. So they all sat there and they all received their Mano Orula.
Beautiful.
And
How old is grandma?
my grandma's like 87.
Well, my grandmother actually received Mano Orula at 84, so that's a wild thing to see somebody at that stage of the game actually still going through it. That's beautiful.
And it saved my family. It's brought unity again.
Yeah.
People that we weren't talking to brought them back into our life. And I'm very big with Orula. I say once a year we go do it bull. Once a year we go get consulted.
Beautiful.
Make sure that our year starts off clean. Yeah. You know, we fed issue. We do what we need to do.
No, good habits. And especially in a spiritual place like Miami, you know, living there and whatnot, you definitely just want to be spiritually sound and have everything up to par, because it's like just walking down the wrong place, you could pick up something more than what you expected. So what did you see shift apart from the unity? I mean, with you specifically going through the Orisha process, what changes did you notice within yourself? What did it open up?
It's funny because a lot of the situations I had were more mental than anything.
Yes.
And once I jumped into doing crowning, going back to doing a bull, I've gotten out of my head and realized reality. Now I know how to figure things out without getting tormented. You know, we're living a decent, happy life.
Yeah,
when we have any kind of issues, you know, we know what we have to do to fix it. And like the littlest one right now that we just brought her to get her Mano de Orula, because she is born from the religion.
What a blessing. Yeah, child of Ifa, yeah, kind of like mine. It's a beautiful thing.
And we all work together. We sit down on Mondays. We teach her this very small to make
Beautiful.
sure that she knows how to take care of her 𝘄cie and her ogun and everybody else that comes along with your Mano de Orula. Yeah. So it's brought a lot of unity in the family. Like I said, that's the biggest thing that I see.
Yeah, and I tell people Orula is here to construct. He's not here to destroy. The religion has gone through a lot of social, you know, chapters, right? Where Orula was preeminent at one point, and then it was absent at one point, and now people are beginning to realize how necessary Ifa and Orisha are in union, right? And
Definitely.
how one leads to the other and vice versa. So your story is one that that the wife brought up pretty quickly, especially it was very similar to ours, and you know the whole goal of creating a new life. So if you could talk kind of about that journey with your youngest one coming into the world.
So my husband and I met 7 years ago.
Beautiful.
Around the time of the spirituality.
Okay, lovely.
Where I learned to set boundaries, and I met him.
Yeah.
And we had a pregnancy where I lost it. And we kept trying and trying and trying for 6 years. We could not get pregnant.
Yeah.
There was nothing wrong with either one of us.
Yeah.
So then we started that same year that I crowned, that January. Like I said, they all received their mano de orula. From there, we went. I got scratched. He got scratched too.
Nice.
And a month later, literally, it took me 3 months and I crowned.
Beautiful.
As soon as I got everybody aligned. And in crowning, it's funny because even in Ifa, they said there's something going on with your stomach that you don't know about. Yeah. I'm like, there's nothing going on.
Yeah.
And then when I went ahead and did all my other things that I needed, something's going on with your stomach. 𝗃𝗏𝗿𝗏 was talking about that. And then all of a sudden, I do my santo, and 𝗃𝗏𝗿𝗏 was like, I'm going to give you the child you've been wanting so bad. My padrino points out, that's the stomach problem that you've been having. Wow. And I got pregnant 2 weeks after I crowned.
Really? Oh, so
I
during
had
the
a positive
Yaoraje.
test. I had a positive pregnancy test 2 weeks after I left my trono.
That's really epic stuff. And when you talk about just a journey, basically a 7-year-long goal, right? Of you guys, you know, getting together, spiritual awakening once more, coming into each other's lives. Like, just to backtrack a little bit, did you meet at a misa? Was it, you know?
No, it was funny because he's been in the religion, but not fully. It's always been me. We actually met online.
Cool.
We met on PO.
Okay, cool.
And we started dating. It took us 6 months to really get to know each other. And then, boom. And then after we did that, I started guiding him little by little into the spirituality, doing Reiki on him, doing Reiki on our kids.
Nice.
You know, taking him to misas and getting him used to it because apart from everything, I'm a montadora.
Nice.
Soy caballo. So I was like, don't freak out. If you go to a misa and you see
makes you like, oh my God, you know, I sleep next to this person every night, you know.
Well, my son saw it for the first time. He ran to the bathroom.
Yeah, it's terrifying, yeah.
So
yeah, especially when the women, you know, you guys, especially the ones that are scratched, you guys or that have like, you know, muertos of palo and stuff like that, they come down kind of rough. But, you know, I've always said that the greatest relationship that I've been in is the one I'm in with my wife, right? Just having a spiritual partner and how accountable.
Makes a difference.
Well, I would ask you, you know, how has the dynamic been differently, you and him being on the same page spiritually? Very
amazing because whatever I bring up to him, he goes with it with me and he understands it. You know, if I get a premonition, he listens to what I tell him because he knows that we've got, you know, people on the other side trying to protect us. Yeah. So it's nice to have somebody that's next to me that not only listens to the stuff I say, but grows with me and goes along with it too. Spiritually, he's, you know, like I said, he's gotten scratched, he's got his mano de orula, and the next step is hopefully he crowns. Yeah. You know, getting our daughter and understanding that our daughter is part of this dynamic now. Yeah. She, you know, she comes from Orisha, she comes from Ifa, she comes from 𝗃𝗏𝗿𝗏. We need to make sure that she is completely protected throughout her life.
Yeah, and I've always said the greatest inheritance a child can leave or give to their children, or a parent can give to their children, is legacy and culture, right? Ifa is family. That's really what it's all about. Orula's only goal on life is just to ensure the persistence of the human race through procreation. So if you notice, every Odu has something for somebody to get pregnant. That's all we're really worried about, you know? I mean, Orula had a bunch of kids for that same reason. But, you know, with the other dynamic that you have spiritually, what has Palo kind of represented in general? What is a little bit of a difference between like the Orisha aspect of things versus the Palo aspect of things with you?
So with me, the Palo in me has been more, it's gotten me in control because I used to, when I pasad my muerta, it was uncontrollable pain. Like sometimes it was very, very hardcore.
Wow.
With scratching myself, I have more control. I could tell her, not right now, step back. If you want to say something, speak. You know, like me and her have a more understanding now because we have that pact together. Yeah. And then I see the difference too, that whenever I've needed something, whether it's the smallest thing, I could just ask for it and it pops up fast with them.
Yeah. No, definitely a very strong religion, one that I'm a huge fan of, even though I didn't have the pleasure of getting initiated into it. Everybody in my house, everybody in my spiritual house, everybody's mayomberos, so you guys are a fun bunch. With now you accomplishing this goal, like, oh my God, we have this positive test. What's going through your mind now? Because I would imagine, you know, it's a huge shock. Like, I remember when my wife came to me and we had done the 𝗃𝗏𝗿𝗏 from her sign to get pregnant, which I had the pleasure of speaking with 𝗃𝗶𝗱𝗏𝗏, who was actually who I got the information from and accomplishing that goal. And I remember I thought somebody had died. Like, she drove up, she skirted up real quick. She's like, oh, I'm like, oh my God. And, you know, we're pregnant, and, you know, the tears and things like that. You know, what was that moment like? Was it in the middle of the night? Was it?
It was during the day. So the funny thing was, he goes, you know, when we're in the room, this is where it starts. When we're in the room crowning, that we're doing ita, and God tells me that, we're all looking at each other. I'm in my 40s.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm here thinking like, okay, they're going to give me a baby to adopt.
Yeah.
I'm thinking everything else, but then I'm going to get pregnant.
Yeah.
And then that weekend, I told him, listen, you know, like, I'm late. And he goes, well, I'm going to go get a pregnancy test. I said, that's fine. I'm going to take it in a few days because we've had, you know, false positives before. Yeah. So I'm like, I'll wait a few days.
Every time you do it, you take a risk for heartbreak. You know what I'm saying?
And I was tired of it. It's 6 years, almost 7 of us trying and getting that heartbreak over and over again.
Yes, ma'am.
So I went ahead and I said, he went to work that Monday, and I said, I'm going to go take this test. Took my test, and I was just sitting there, and I was beep, 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 and pregnant. And I was like, what? I didn't even tell him first. I called my mom, and I'm like, Mom, is this real?
Yeah.
Then I called him, and I'm like, I have a surprise for you. And I sent him the picture, and he was like, wow. I said, that's the biggest test for you. Because I know what I'm dealing with. Yeah. That's the biggest test for you to have the biggest faith. Yeah. Because we've been trying for so long.
Yeah. No, it's one of those things that I was just talking about this with the wife. You know, Ifa makes miracles commonplace. You know, when we go through things like this in the Western world, we're like, oh my God, this is incredible. And it is. But when you go to Africa, these were things that would happen all the time, you know. And we were just talking, like, my grandmother had her last child around 38, 39, you know, how many years ago, 50-something years ago. So the westernization of our spirituality and culture has made these things a little more, you know, gigantic. You know, we kind of look at them and like, we'll never be able to accomplish that. I don't know what the actual goal is. I don't know if it's necessarily a health thing or is it to kind of control population. I don't know anymore, but I do know that, you know, you look at certain processes like this and you're like, will we ever accomplish this? Because, you know, we went through IVF, you know, unfortunately not getting a positive result and all these different things. And, you know, Ifa, it makes, you know, miraculous things common. So, you know, to hear someone else going through it modernly, it's not like when you hear about, you know, 𝘃𝗶𝗱𝗏 from 30 years ago, no me embaracé esto y lo otro. Like, it's actually people that are contemporary, that are going through it right now, that are practicing Ifa currently. How do you kind of maneuver a 𝗃𝗶𝗶𝗏 being pregnant? How was that?
That was so crazy. It was crazy because I had the hospital taken away. I'm not supposed to be in hospitals. Sure. And I think the main reason I had to crown for me to have this child is because of all the complications that came with it, because it was a very complicated pregnancy. I was at the doctor's 3 times a week. Wow. Doing ultrasounds. You know, she was IUGUR, so she was a small baby. One of the lines from her wasn't working properly, so she wasn't getting, you know, enough nutrients. So I had to keep going to the doctors and be in hospitals.
It was a battle.
It was a battle. And then I went into the hospital right when I was like 29 weeks. And staying in the hospital as a 𝗃𝗶𝗶𝗏, I don't recommend it for anyone.
Well, you're picking up a lot, especially with your mediumship.
Palo, oh my goodness. I used to tell them, listen, I need rest. You know, I'll give you light, sending you light, leave me alone. Because they would just be constantly.
Because you're creating somebody and you were just born. You know, so there's a lot of things that are even growing within you, and then you have a whole nother human being inside you that needs so much. That's a lot to ask for somebody.
And then I had to be covered from head to toe. You know, like they would tell me, oh, you got to wear this. I'm like, I have to dress in white. Yeah. I would have, you know, my gi on. I would have white socks on. Like the majority of white that I could wear, but you know, hospital gowns aren't white.
Yeah, not anymore. They should be. I'm not
sure. And then they would tell me, oh no, you have to take your braces. I didn't take my mano de orula off, my bracelet. I didn't take my day off. I was like, these are religious things that I need in order to protect myself. Yeah. And then they let me go. Everything got cleared up again at 29 weeks, and then at 33 weeks, she decided to come.
That's a little bit early, right?
That was very early.
Oh God, you know, the woman, of course, she's the focus. Of course, you guys are going through all the pain and whatnot, but just knowing the position of father and being somebody that's accountable and was there every step of the way during pregnancy. You know, I always think of the brothers. I always think of them because it's like, oh yeah, I'm having a baby right now. Okay, haven't slept. Okay, nothing's ready. Okay, let's go to the hospital.
We weren't ready for nothing. We were just getting things. We just had the baby shower like I think 2 weeks prior.
Ay, mi madre.
So we were still unpacking stuff, getting things ready, getting the house ready, painting. And then I'm like, my blood pressure's through the roof because I had preeclampsia.
Yes, ma'am.
So I had to go into the hospital. I told them I know all the signs. This is preeclampsia.
Yeah.
They kept me in the hospital, and they're like, you're having a baby this week. And I'm
Okay.
like, we were scheduling it for Saturday, and Thursday she's like, no, I went into labor. So I had to have an emergency C-section. And while I was in there, I was by myself because I had sent him to work.
Yeah, right. You don't expect things to transpire that quickly. You know?
I gave birth alone, but I wasn't alone because I called everyone. I invoked everyone
Claro.
to be there. And they were all there. I felt every single one of them for her to come out. Luckily, like by the time that she was already out in the NICU, he came.
Oh.
You know, so he was there right at the end.
Okay.
He flew from Doral all the way to Fort Lauderdale.
Oh my God, that's hard. Passing Mall of Americas y todo en ese palmetto. Oh my God, he was gone.
Yeah.
Now, did you get a chance to do anything spiritual during the 𝗷𝗲𝗏? Like, were there anything?
My padrino de Ifa, because you really can't do anything as a yawo.
Correct.
You can't do anything. But my padrino de Ifa said, listen, báñate con agua Yemaya, báñate con agua 𝗃𝗶𝗿𝗄𝗏. Vamos a amarrarte la barriga.
Yeah, sound things, you know.
You know, the things, let's tie up your stomach, let's do all the things. So my padrino de Ifa took care of me throughout my pregnancy.
Very nice. Very nice. Now, no one knew, right? I mean, other than mom and padrino.
Only my parents, my husband, our immediate family, meaning my
nucleus,
brother-in-laws and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then my religious family.
Yeah.
Because my 𝗃𝗶𝗍𝗲 is my aunt too.
Oh,
so
beautiful.
she knew. So it was just those people that knew what was going on.
So what's that announcement like? You know, we just had a baby shower, 2 weeks beforehand, but they all knew. But I mean, how does that work with work? Like, oh my God,
well,
what was people's reactions?
I wasn't working at that time, so I got lucky with that.
Lovely.
But everyone was amazed at why so early, what's going on, are you okay? You know, my mom showed up too. My mom lives in Homestead.
Oh my Lord.
And drove from Homestead to Fort Lauderdale just as they were closing me up too.
Ay, Dios mío.
So, but everybody was happy. They were just scared because she was so small. She was 3 pounds when she was born.
Yeah.
You know? So my mom actually spoke to 𝗃𝗏𝗏 to see what can we do for the baby because she was so small and in such danger.
Yeah.
And, they sent me certain things that I could do for her. Obviously, for me, I couldn't do much, but I was fine.
Yeah.
It was crazy because for me, what I went through in my hora as I was pregnant and having her, it was a very, very hard time. I cried a lot, and I spent 4 months in the NICU with her. I cried a lot, prayed a lot to Yemaya. I would, just...
She was in there for 4 months?
For 4 months.
I tell you, Mom, that's wild because, I mean, my wife, she had a C-section as well. That's stressful enough as it is.
Yeah.
And, I remember sitting there those 72 hours, and that's initially why I didn't want to procreate again, because when you're really there and you're going through it and you don't sleep those first 3 days, you're like, I don't ever want to go through this again, as beautiful as it is. But at least I was able to take them home, So what was that dynamic like, because we're happy that we accomplished this goal, but we're not going home yet.
Yeah, no, it was... Imagine I spent my entire hora in the hospital.
Yeah.
I had to go there, and being a medium too, it didn't help
It's
because in that
stressful.
ward, believe it or not, especially the one she was in, because she was in the high risk.
Not
There
everybody's
was a lot of
successful.
babies. I unfortunately saw 2 babies that had to be baptized immediately. When that happens,
God.
it's
Yeah.
because they're crossing. Parents. I help parents with Reiki there. I try to do as much Reiki as I could to help other parents
Wow.
while I'm going through it myself.
Wow.
My daughter was in a coma for 2 weeks due to her surgeries.
Wow.
I went through it, but I never lost faith. I would come home every night and sit down with my Orishas and speak to them. My padrino Ifa would always check up on me, send me little things to do for her. And he's the one I think that literally helped me the most to get her out of the hospital. He told me what to do towards the end just to get her out fast.
I really have to commend this gentleman. I mean, I haven't had the pleasure, but, to see that kind of accountability nowadays is very rare.
Yes.
I was actually with a godson yesterday, and, he told me the same thing. He said, Padrino, the most surprising characteristic about you is you pick up the phone. And I said, well, the honeymoon phase is great, but after that, when we take somebody on, the derecho is great, but when it runs out, how are you going to behave? And my godfather was always big on that. You have to behave from the moment of deposit through the moment of withdrawal because, people are going to need you after those 3 days.
Those are your children.
Exactly.
Those are your spiritual children.
Exactly. And I tell them that, it's like I tell all these brothers that, are having babies or all these 𝗷𝗏𝗏s that are having God kids, have as many as you can take care of. because anything other than that just leads to frustration and pain.
Yes.
So my regards to him, because that's a brother that understands the magnitude of his position and you know how important this goal was to you. And
Me and him talk constantly. We
Wow.
are always messaging each other or texting or calling. How's the family? How's your grandma? How's your mom?
Beautiful.
We pass by just to hang out with him.
Beautiful.
Like, we love our godfather. He's amazing. He's an amazing human being. And I'm saying this because I know a lot of people don't understand that there's still amazing babalaos out there.
There's good men out there. There's good brothers out there. There's good brother 𝗀𝗲𝗍𝗃s. There's amazing madrinas. You know, but it's like with anything. When the pool, when the river grows too quickly, it could be with dirty water. So, you know, we're not all the same. You know, no estamos todo lo que somos, ni somos todo lo que estamos, but there's good people out there. You just have to wade and really get to know people. Give time. I tell people that, you know, it's like it's a spiritual courtship. You know, you're getting to know each other. You know, you need at least 4 interactions, and you know, you're gonna know who people are when you're going through a difficult situation, or there are. So you have to give that time. And so what was that day like when you were able to take this baby home?
I cried.
Of course.
I cried with the nurses. I told them all I would miss them. I did the traditional Cuban style, all dressed in yellow.
Oh my God.
I should have known there were signs, because apart from everything, my daughter did her mano orula, like I had stated.
Yeah.
And she's a daughter of Ochun.
Oh gosh.
You know, God bless la Yalo de every day.
God help you, Dad.
So I had signs, believe it or not, because I dressed her in yellow constantly. Her gender reveal was all sunflowers, and
I tell you, it's
Yalo
wild.
was there.
It works out like that. Yeah, she makes herself known.
But it was amazing. You know, like, it was the happiest day of my life, because I'm actually taking my little one home. She's better than when she was. Because my daughter went through surgeries. I guess she's got a G-tube. She has PRS. She's had a cleft palate repair. She's had to have her jaw distracted, where they break their jaw and push it forward. Wow. You know, I went through it, like I said. It was very painful. But once I got her home, it was the best feeling.
Ya estamos bien.
Yes.
You know, we're home free, and you know, it really speaks to the testament of you guys as parents, and the soul and fire that she carries within, and her blood and her DNA, because you know, you have grown people, adults who can't handle those kind of things, and then you have this beautiful creature that just arrived, and they're going through so much hardship.
Going through it,
And you know, you would never know. Like, even me doing the interview right now, I had no idea of this, and you look at her, all you see is straight smiles. You know what I'm saying? She couldn't be happier, and she's been through war already. So what were the sibling reactions like? How was that?
Well, her older brothers were shocked.
Yeah.
You know, I have 2 granddaughters.
Oh my gosh, go ahead, Grandma. Hey.
So I got 2 granddaughters.
Contemporary with her? Or
I have a 3-year-old, and there's one that just born, that she's 3 months right now.
Oh my gosh, that's wild.
So the aunt's like younger than the niece.
Yeah, that's a Hialeah situation for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they loved it. You know, they're both boys. They only had each other, and they wanted a sister. Yeah. They got their sister. They were shocked, actually, believe it or not. They also got more faith in the religion. Yeah. Because as soon as I came out, I was like, you guys, I'm going to end up getting pregnant according to my dad.
They're like, yeah, sure.
And then 2 weeks later, I'm pregnant, and they're like, I don't believe it.
Yeah. You don't believe it. I talk with my elders about all the time now, having a little bit of tenure in Ifa. You start seeing all these different cases and hearing all these stories and actually living it. And they tell me, there's like, if you didn't see it or you didn't go through it, you wouldn't believe it, you know, but that's just how miraculous it is. What do you notice about her spiritually? Like, has there been any awakening that's occurred with her? Are you noticing little things with her?
She's very spiritual. Yeah. I know that she's going to be a medium, because she's already talking to Egun. Like, I see her looking out and talking to someone that's not there. And I'm like, and laughing. Yeah. And then we've had misas where they've told me stuff about her. Yeah. And obviously when she got her mano, you know, my godfather
How old was she when she received?
She was 13 months.
Okay, good.
So yeah, it was last month that she received it.
Perfect.
You know, my padrino told me, listen, we're doing a plante. Bring the baby. I'm going to give her her mano orula.
Wow.
Which is something you don't see a lot either.
No, it's 𝘃𝗶𝗃𝗏.
Yeah. And he's like, you know, she was born from 𝗃𝗶𝗃𝗏.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, she was.
Yeah, no, it's a huge, I mean, you want to talk about, you know, a portfolio of work. I mean, yeah, you know, the Ifa literally facilitated this life to be here. You know, there is no greater accolade, you know what I'm saying, to bring people into the world and facilitate it spiritually. I mean, do you feel like at any moment what you were going through was a reflection of spiritual blockages?
Yes.
Generational, anything like that?
I think a lot of it was, since I let go of so much of my, you know, my spirituality, because my muerta told me that the next time you forget about me, you're going to realize who I am. Yeah. You know, I think it was that, just me letting go of everything, pushing everything to the side, not doing a bowl, not doing nothing.
You're finding yourself again.
You know, my life was just was at a crossroad that it wasn't able to go through. Yeah. And then once I started the process of going back through everything again, we're doing a bowl. Because everyone in my family that has not had any santo hecho, and even the people that did santo, before I went into my throne, everybody went to my padrino and did a bowl. Got read, through Ifa, got their bowl done before. I said, there's nobody that's going to come out with anything that's not supposed to come out in when you do Ita. Yeah. So I like to keep my faith in Ifa very, 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 like, wide. To me, that's the stepping stone to everything, which I even tell my god kids. Before you join this, you need to go through my padrino to do your mano de orula. I work with babalaos. So
thank you. Yeah, we appreciate it.
I work with babalaos.
We appreciate it. So you've brought a couple people into this world. You've been blessed with the title of mother. How is it comparable to the title of madrina? You know, what is the similarities you notice between actually bringing people and then, you know, bringing people up spiritually? What do you notice as parallels? And you being a daughter of Yemaya, the whole mother thing.
Yeah, I'm a big mother.
Yeah.
I'm a mom. I'm literally a mom. Like some of my houses are older than me and they call me for their issues. Hey, madrina, what do you think about this? No, don't do that. Yeah. Don't go through there. Listen to this, do this. I am motherly. I'm very motherly. I talk to them very straight up. You know, I give them consejos. I talk to my godkids like I would talk to my children. And they call me every day. We talk through text or through phone, through WhatsApp, whatever. And they're my babies. They are my children that I need to take care of. And I try to guide them so that they can better themselves.
I tell you, it's hard to see those concepts nowadays. I remember when I also, another pretty miraculous thing that we went through as well is, you know, one time my wife came down with one of the many muertos she comes down with, and you know, they pull me over. They're like, "Oye, gordo." I'm like, "Okay, that's me." And they pull me over, and she's like, "Yeah, you need to receive olofin because your son's on the way, and this, that, and the third." And I'm just sitting there. I'm like, I'm not receiving odu. I'm not going through all that. You know, I got a bunch of other ones I could use. And, you know, just going with the flow, I'm like, the opportunity presented itself. And all of a sudden, I'm in Cuba again, right? And the reason I bring this point up is because it's very reflective of your behavior. My godmother, my 𝗃𝗿𝗲𝗃𝗍, amazing woman. I wouldn't have accomplished nearly half as much as I have spiritually without her. Her house was like that. Like, you'd wake up, like she's doing very well over there. I mean, right now, Cuba's kind of going through a big transition. We're all kind of sitting on the edge of our seats seeing what's going to happen. But, you know, I'd wake up, one hijado comes in, another one comes out. One, you know, is eating breakfast over here, another one's consulting over there. And I'm like, holy cow, bro, this is really like barracón, you know what I'm saying? Like, really, she really fulfills that role for so many people. Like, oye, comiste hoy? Yeah. Hey, coge esto. Oye, la guagua. You know, all these different things. And you see that's so lost here in Hialeah. You still would see that quite a bit. And there's still people such as yourself that maintain that to a certain degree because people are going through situations. People are really, the madrina really was the mother, because when you go all the way back to when our ancestors came over, where you had a young man who maybe didn't know who his mother was because he came over so young, or lost his father because of, you know, whatever happened, your spiritual elders and your family, that was blood, you know? So for you to be able to still recreate that and still feel that obligation and satisfaction from doing it is very rare and commendable, you know, and it's easy to see why you've been so compensated with, you know, being able to have more children and all the things.
I say that the Orishas will give you everything that you want as long as you're doing things correctly.
Yes, ma'am.
I take care of my house. Like I said, they're my babies. And I have a connection with them. Most of my house live in California. Let's start off with that.
Interesting.
So they won't contact me, and all of a sudden I'll get like an image, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? Are you feeling okay? Yeah. And they're like, you're a witch. We were just about to call you. Yeah. So it's that connection too, you know, and it's funny because like I haven't sought any of these people out. They've all looked at me through TikTok. Yeah. And you know, I try to give advice. I'm not looking there to get people. I'm just giving advice for things that I've gone through.
Yes, ma'am.
You know?
Well, there's a lot of people going through it. You know, fertility is a big situation right now, and it's a big reason why people come to Ifa, you know, looking for that salvation and those results.
And then I'm like, you know, and like I said, one of the first things I tell them, the first thing you're doing is working with your 𝗃𝗿𝗲𝗃𝗍, and then the next step you're going to go to your mano de orula. Let's get your 𝘄cie, let's get your guerreros, let's do your stuff. So that way we know what your path is, and from there we know which way to go. Because Ifa is the one that guides you and knows which way you should take in life. Because not everybody's supposed to crown. Not everyone scratches.
Yes, ma'am.
Not everyone, everybody has their own path.
Yeah.
And I think the best way to find that out is through Ifa.
Well, Orula was a pretty sound guy, borderline boring. He really didn't have any interest in what people did or did not do other than what benefited them. And that's why I became very infatuated with him, because he was just about precision, right? Do what is going to have the best effect and then, take it from there. But to see somebody upholding that modernly, especially someone on TikTok, where, Orula is not a popular topic or isn't one that sometimes gets celebrated, is rare once again. And you actually being an advocate for the processes you've been through and being a resource to people, saying, hey, we've been through it too. I tell you, fertility is one of those things that you will never feel more lonelier when you don't get that result, because you want to feel happy for the person that's accomplished what they're trying to, and then you're still in the thick of it saying, are we going to be able to do this, as a unit? And it's the most vindicating and gratifying thing when you and that special person are able to make a person. So I congratulate you guys sincerely. Do you think your daughter's a reincarnation? Does she remind you of anybody that's passed on or anything like that? That happens
Not
from
really.
time to time. She's just her own.
She's just her own little personality.
That's awesome.
And it's funny because I look at her and it's everything I wanted in a little girl. I wanted her happy. And when I found out, my thing was, when I found out she was 𝗃𝗲𝗿𝗄𝗏 June, I was shocked, because we were thinking Agua, we were thinking...
Oh, the kids, yeah, you kind of always think.
And then I'm like, June, and I'm like, I was scared. But I have never dealt with an 𝗃𝗲𝗿𝗄𝗏 June. I have family members that are, directly, like I've dealt with 𝗃𝗶𝗱𝗏𝗏.
Yeah.
And now I have my 𝗃𝗏𝗿𝗄𝗏𝗏.
The yellow team is a different bunch, I tell you, my house, we call it the beehive. But, it's just, we're meant to be understood, I think is the best way of saying it. But, good people, honest people, a little too honest sometimes. And just, sometimes we're honey, sometimes we're vinegar, but it's all love.
I love June. I tell people, it's funny because I see people, they're like, oh, because I'm a daughter of June. I said, listen, take that with pride, because being a daughter of June is not easy.
Yeah.
June is very, very, very strict.
Yeah, no, man,
she's
terrifying, especially with the boys.
Yes.
A lot of people say, it's a weird dynamic because, they say, no, when you have an Orisha that is of the opposite gender, you get away with everything. Like the daughters of 𝗀𝗲𝗏 get away with everything, or the sons of 𝗀𝗏 get away with it. They're a little different, yeah. But, I tell you, the yellow team, she's very no nonsense, man. Like, she will bless you in so many ways. But there's moments when I really don't converse with her. Like, I'll say, good morning, mama, and I keep it all the way moving. And Yemaya holds a very special place in our house. I mean, me and my wife were both crowned by Yemaya, daughters as well. And, that maternity and that support has always been there. Now, with you being a resource online now, and being somebody that was able to succeed, what responsibility do you feel to the people that reach out or that watch you to provide an honest outlook on what occurred with you? Because a lot of people achieve the goal and they'll be like, yeah, everything was great. If it's not going great for you, you should probably stop, but you seem like somebody that's much more honest than that. So what does that responsibility feel like?
It feels good. I'm so happy I finally got to the point where I could help these people.
Yeah.
It feels good to have someone ask me, hey, and then I give them an honest response. And then when they see that the truth is there and they come back to me and say, Madrina, you were spot on it. It makes me feel good. I'm here to help. I want to help humanity as much as I can, because we live in a world right now that unfortunately is very sad.
Yeah, no one wants to help nobody.
Nobody wants to help. Everybody's about themselves. It's sad.
Especially TikTok is, God bless them. It's a different ambiance for sure.
Well, I got into an argument the other day because there are certain things in spirituality that you do not sell. It's supposed to be taught.
Yeah, no.
Basic 𝗃𝗶𝗸𝗏, A1A, 𝗃𝗶𝗸𝗏 situations.
Yeah.
And there was some people selling, I'm going to teach you how to do this, and I'm like, that's not something you sell. You shouldn't do that. I'm very old school. These are things that you're supposed to teach on. Yes, I agree, there are certain things that you do have to pay for.
You gotta get in.
Your knowledge is your knowledge. But I'm like, so then people from there, I didn't mean it to happen, they started contacting me. Well, what is she talking about? I said, well, this is how you cleanse your 𝗃𝗏𝗏𝗏. This is the easiest way right here. And this woman was charging an arm and a leg.
Yeah.
So it makes me feel good that these people that are poor, that don't have this kind of money or resources, are coming to me saying, hey, listen, I don't got that many funds. What can I do? Let's do this.
Well,
simplicity.
that's really key is when you've been able to accomplish something so great, being able to give people options that are accessible to them. You know, no one wants to, you know, I'll be frank with you, no one wants, in my opinion, no one wants to accomplish anything and celebrate it alone, right? You know, the only thing more enjoyable than accomplishing something is, you know, facilitating other people to be able to accomplish it. So whether, and it could be something that simple. I'm not sure what your action plan for somebody that went through what you went through is, but it could be something as simple as just setting up the 𝗿𝗲𝗶𝗲. You know, these little mini blockages, the 𝗿𝗲𝗿𝗃𝗃 says that there is no enemy too small. So when you look at these little minute things that most people are like, yeah, okay, a couple glasses of water are going to get me pregnant, you'd be surprised, you know. And it's like you even said, you know, like people like your grandmother, you know, that crowned decades and received their mano orula. There's still blessings to be had even in our 80s. You don't know. There might be another 10, 20 years for that woman. We just don't know. Like I have a godson, his grandmother has crowned Ochun since like she's 100 years old right now. She's been crowned for like 70 years. You know, I mean, those are things that, you know, no one can expect. But, you know, as long as you just walk the path, show faith and obedience, usually, you know, good things come from that. And I think you're a prime example of that. I mean, yeah. So you mentioned, you know, people getting crowned in your family, things coming up. I mean, what are your goals at this juncture? You've been able to make another beautiful human being. You're crowned. What
build
do you?
My 𝗃𝗍. I want to build my 𝗃𝗍. Like, I'm seeing it. It's slowly progressing and growing with my god kids. Yeah. With my children too. My son, you know, he's aspiring to be un 𝗃𝗏𝗶 in the future. Very nice. So we're getting him crowned and my husband too, beautiful. Like I stated earlier. It's just seeing my 𝗃𝗍 grow. I want to see as many people helped and saved as much as I can. And like I said, even when you said it, even with a cup of water, you can resolve blockages. Yes, my godchildren, they received their mano orula due to the fact that I told them, do this, do this, do this. And they're, you know, it happened. And that's my goal. I want to help as many people as I can to get to that point where they could receive their mano orula, where they could, if they're supposed to crown, go ahead. And if you're supposed to scratch, I would love to be that person that gets you there and helps you.
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, just to facilitate it. And that's kind of our spiel too, is just we want people to do whatever they're meant to do. So whoever's going to reveal that, whether it's the show, whether it's orula, we just want them to have the information to take those steps and accomplish great things. I mean, we're ironically, even though Western philosophy teaches us the opposite, you know, with time, we're all meant to accomplish everything we want to down here. We're all meant to be happy. We're all meant to be fulfilled and successful. Orula is here just to clear the path towards that, you know, because things get muddy as we walk the path. You know, you being somebody that, you know, saw how powerful holistic spiritual medicine is, because I'm a big advocate for medicine, allopathically. My father's a physician. I believe there are situations you need to go see a doctor for.
Definitely.
But the ironic thing is, you know, it might not be a two-way street, but in Cuba, a lot of the doctors are babalaos. So they'll be like, wait, we can't find anything, go visit fulano.
The science is not working.
Exactly, and they send you to the babalao. It's a dual-pronged approach that gets a lot of great results. I mean, Cuba, regardless of what it's going through politically, I mean, medically, we have some of the best professionals ever. So, you know, it's just, what would you like to see from a medical, holistic, spiritual standpoint?
I want to see people go through what I went through. The women that are struggling to get that baby that they want so badly, or the health situation too. My brother, he was little, he had cancer. Thank God that Ochun was crowned on his head and saved him. Oh my God. And we went to get checked out to see what was going on because the science was not science.
Yeah, and this is, you know, it wasn't what it was as it is now, you know. Yeah. It's a little more advanced now.
They basically were like, the science is incorrect. The science is incorrect. Okay. This is, you know, so they would send us certain things to do so that the science could correct itself. Yeah. So I do believe that both go hand in hand. You need to see doctors. You have to be seen and checked out. If they tell you, go get seen by a doctor, go ahead. And if something cannot be found, then let's go back to where we're supposed to start from and then go back into the science. Yeah. So we could figure out what's going on and get fixed. I've seen miracles. This religion saves. This religion saves.
Quite a few people.
Saves. Yeah. I've seen it firsthand. Yeah. You know, my brother, like I said, he had cancer, and he was done for. He had the worst case of leukemia.
Wow. And Ochun is actually the goddess or the Orisha of the blood diseases. That's really ironic.
And she took care of him. He was 9 months in the hospital. He almost died on us, and you know, thank God because of our religion and because of our faith and everything, all the 𝗃𝗏𝗧 that we were doing, everything. We had babalaos in the hospital. We had.
Oh, my aunt was famous for that, sneaking 2 pigeons into the room.
Yes.
Oh my God! The doctor was like, "What's that?" We're like, "Oye, cierra la cortina."
Well, with her, I took 𝗃𝗏𝗶𝗏𝗏
Oh
with
my God.
a piece of steak, and I told the doctor, "Hold on,
Everybody's gonna
dale."
smack with the meat. I remember, my grandmother's sister was famous for that. 31st of December, everybody in front of San
Get
Lázaro,
smacked
everybody's getting smacked over red palm oil. It was just, it's things that if you're not from back home, you couldn't even imagine it. Pero
it was funny seeing the doctor's face, especially with her.
and they
with
roll
her
with it. They're like, "What can we do?"
They can't do nothing.
Yeah.
The last surgery she had, I actually took a doll that they made for her in Palo.
Wow.
It's her shadow doll. And I'm like, told the doctor, wait before you take her. Started cleaning her. The doctor's looking at me like, what is this little wooden thing?
He's like, whatever helps, you know. A lot of them, especially being back home, they're familiar. They're like, as long as it doesn't put them in any liability, they're like, have at it, you know. At the end of the day, it benefits everybody. But I've seen the pigeons
in the rooms. My mom's taking chickens. It was insane seeing and the doctor's faces were hilarious.
I remember one time, God bless the dead, my aunt, she was, bedridden in the hospital at the moment, and I actually, I sat at the bed end and I was throwing the chain and stuff like that, and the doctor came in and he was like, well, that's interesting, and he just walked right out. And luckily she was able to get up and get a couple more years out of it, so it's, Ifa is the gray area. When you look at the Odu Babao Fumeji, Orumila was not allowed to infringe upon Olodumare or Iku, but he was allowed to function in the middle. The thin line that is between black and white, light and darkness, and that's what we specialize in. It's not that someone's not going to transition, but if we can get a couple more inches of life out of them, that's what our obligation is.
That's the obligation is.
If that child is meant to be born and we could, have a positive impact, that's what we need to do. So, the position is still relevant, and there's so many Odus that speak of it. When everything else fails, Orula's mat will always be open to the public. So, and you've seen those positive results. What words of encouragement and love can you give to all those people who are going through that fertility battle right now?
Don't lose hope. If, like I said, the science doesn't work, come to us. Yeah. We have ways to help you. I don't make guarantees or promises, but I've seen what I've seen. I've seen the miracles. I've seen people that have not been able to walk. So imagine fertility. Yeah. You could help. If I waited 6 years to get pregnant, I'm talking about we did everything just like you did. Yeah. And then all of a sudden I did what I did, and 2 weeks later I'm pregnant. It's there. Yeah. Everything that we did it correctly. It
is a medicine, when you look at the fundamental aspects.
It's all herbs.
When you go through our initiatory process and whatnot, and it's really wild, right? Because it's like the Odu 𝗃𝗏𝗏 says. 𝗃𝗏𝗏 speaks of a story where there was a land of people who dressed in silk, but they were spiritually empty. Their health was failing, and then across the canyon or the valley, you had the land of the people who wore the animal skins, right? Where they weren't very affluent or whatnot, but they were healthy and spiritually fulfilled. And they would have a great time. It kind of makes you wonder, like, from Brickell to, back home, it's but you begin to realize some of the greatest things and resources are in places that aren't pretty. Even when Eshu was able to save Olofing by giving him the herbs that grew by the garbage, he was like, nobody would ever think of this because this takes humility. We have to lower ourselves before God or through somebody that isn't possibly what we envision, a white coat, doctor versus, 𝗃𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗃. But at the end of the day, what people want is results, and to be able to get them, it's humility. It's like 𝗃𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗃 says, not even the king is greater than I, where the king had to bow. Orula lived basically in 𝗃𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗃. He lived in a project. The king had to bow to the point where his crown fell off to be able to, touch his forehead to the tablero. So humility is what provides salvation.
Every single time that my padrino's tocando el tablero that I'm doing 𝗃𝗏𝗃𝗏, I have my crown. I bow down. Orula is the one that you should always bow down to.
And no one had an issue with that because he was humble. So it's like when I tell, whether it's the brothers, whether it's the sisters, whoever has their process, humility is what really facilitates all of this. As long as we maintain that humbleness and remember where we come from, and always remember that our goal is to help and serve, great things come from it. I really appreciate your time. Sincerely, to you, your husband, your children. My wife has been talking about your story for quite some time while we've been setting all these
I love your wife. She's
today.
amazing.
She's awesome,
amazing.
man.
She's got such a beautiful spiritual way of herself.
Thank you.
You guys are amazing. What you guys do.
Oh.
You know, you're teaching the young. That's the best thing right now.
No, it's like when you were telling me about your son watching and stuff. Thank you, sir. It's like when you tell me about, you know, and I was that kid. I was that 18, 19-year-old kid where I was just like in awe of the green and yellow. And I was like, oh, the 𝗷𝗶𝗸𝗏. And, you know, I really didn't understand them too much. But, you know, to be able to be a resource to that gentleman or any young person that, you know, recognizes something cool about Ifa, that's as humbling as it gets. And I think it speaks volumes about women such as my wife and yourself to be able to go through a fertility struggle and, you know, deal with all the pains of motherhood and, you know, the possibility of loss, and then to come out on top is a very motivating, gratifying thing, not only for us as husbands, but for just us as spectators, because we're all there to support y'all, you know, and our children. So, you know, I congratulate you guys sincerely. It sounds like you got something great going on back home. You know, can't wait to visit and things like that, and fraternize. Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, we'll definitely be in touch, and we're sincerely appreciative of the time and interview for sure.
Thank you. Like I said, it's a pleasure to meet you guys finally and to be able to do this. If anything, all these young people are looking, trust the process.
Yes.
And find yourself a good padrino. I would recommend you because you are very knowledgeable.
Yeah, likewise to yours. And, you know, it's all about options, you know, get to know people, be around people. And at the end of the day, it's all about family. So as long as you feel that warm vibe and you see accountability and honesty, you're in a good place for sure. 𝗃𝗶𝗸𝗏𝗏. What do you think, Phil?
Great stuff.
Oh man, awesome. You know what I love the most about this interview, frankly, is they're gonna know the story's real because they hear the baby.
Yeah.
Right. Oh yeah.
It's like that's
if
she's
they
there.
go on my TikTok, they'll see her. So she's everywhere.
Oh my God, that's awesome. What your TikTok? What is it so people can connect with you?
It's 𝗃𝗶𝗏𝗏, so it's 𝗃𝗶𝗱𝗏𝗏.
Beautiful name. Yeah, and guys, for anybody that wants to connect with 𝗃𝗶𝗏𝗏𝗏, we're gonna have all her description information in the description of the video, so you guys can reach out. And if anybody's going through something similar, she's definitely an advocate and a support system. So definitely get in touch with her, and we're very excited to be affiliated. So, Boru.
See ya.
Baba Joseph showed the path today. Baba knows the way. We follow the signs. He walks with the Orisha through sacred lines. He speaks with the ancients. He